Hi and welcome to Distilling in Australia. My name is Nick and today we're going to be doing a fermentation by an expert. Now, for those of you who have watched the series of videos that I've put out there, you know that I am not the expert. I do not make myself to be any guru, but an expert nevertheless is how this came about. But as always, here is 5 seconds of your life you'll never get back. Okay, so bear with me. I have to put this into perspective and tell a little bit of a story about how this all came about. So, because I ferment my own sugar wash, and create my own neutral, I'm a little bit different from a lot of other distilleries that buy in their neutral grain spirit. And so, therefore, I have different sort of suppliers. Anyway, on the 24th of November 2023, I received an email from one of my suppliers. Now, I'm not going to name names here or companies or anything like that, okay? I don't want to do that. This is just information, and as you know, I always try and get out correct information wherever I can. So, I received an email on the 24th of November from this particular supplier saying, we've got our technical manager and we'd like to would like to have a chat to you about any technical issues that you might be having. So I thought, yeah, okay, and they set a date for the 12th of December, which is a couple of weeks ago. I didn't think much more of it. So the 12th of December happens to fall on a Tuesday. Now I'm trying to put this into perspective as to what was going on. So the 12th of December is a Tuesday. Tuesday is my day off that I have with my wife. We go to the surf club, we have a drink, and we're always home by 2 o'clock, okay? So I figured, well, that's okay, 2 o'clock. Now, for some reason, I don't know why, but for some reason I thought it was going to be a teleconference or a telephone call or whatever. I wasn't really expecting anything more than that. And the reality is that Heart's Distillery is, if not the smallest, one of the smallest distilleries, licensed legal distilleries in Australia. Okay, so we take up 16 square metres. All this area here is 16 square metres, roughly, give or take a bit. But so we are extremely small. So that was sort of my mindset. Was sort of, well, no one's really going to waste much time on me because I'm so small, right? So anyway, that's my defence. So I was woefully underprepared for this meeting, and I woefully. I had actually done nothing, and to be honest, it had slipped my mind that it was happening. Sorry guys, but that's just the honest truth. So anyway, we're coming back from our lunch, and it's 10 to 2, and I got a phone call from this person. And they said, we're at your place. Well, that was surprise number one. So I said, look, that's fine. I'll be home in 10 minutes. And obviously the meeting wasn't till 2 o'clock, so I didn't keep them waiting. So I get here, and these two gentlemen jump out of their car and come and see me, and we have a chat. And anyway, we're running through the mechanics of fermentation and how to do it and all the rest of it. And some of what I'm going to show you in this video, for a lot of you, will probably blow your minds a bit, because it blew my mind. I had certain processes stuck firmly in my brain about how things should work. Now, what's happened is, so this particular technical manager is a world-renowned expert in the field, and he has a doctorate, so he's a PhD in the relative expertise to be able to do this. Now, I had no idea who he was, and it was not until after they actually left that I sort of thought, well, I'll Google his name and find out who he was, because this guy seemed to know what he was talking about. And I thought, oh, well, I was embarrassed, okay? I was really embarrassed, because I thought, my God, here is this guy who advises huge companies on setting up distilleries and fermentation, all that sort of stuff, in my little 16 square metre distillery. And I thought, okay, all right. He must have thought to himself, what am I doing here? And you know, kudos to him, mate. I'd be thinking exactly the same thing. What am I doing here? Anyway, put all that aside. This video is a result of the interaction I had with him during the, they were here for about an hour and a half, something like that. But in that interaction, I listened, okay? Because I'm a firm believer that with every conversation you can learn something, because I know that the person I'm talking to knows something I don't know, and I know that I know things that that person doesn't know as well. So there's always an opportunity to learn. Well, in this particular case, I just asked questions and I learned. I asked questions and I learned, and I learned and I learned and learned. Now, I'm not alone in this, all right? I know from the conversation that a lot of what I thought is actually also thought by much larger distilleries than myself, all right? So what I'm going to do is I need to do another batch because I've just used up this last batch of sugar wash. Now, what I'm going to show you works for a sugar wash and a molasses wash. Same theory, okay? I'm not sure if it's going to work for an agricole. I didn't ask the question because I'm not at an agricole sort of level at the moment, but I know that this theory of how you should do it works for both a sugar wash and a molasses rum wash. So that's the basis that we're going to be attacking this. So 1,000 litre fermenter, as you would know, is filled up to 875 litres, okay, which is what I need to have. By the time I add my sugar, it'll bring it up to the 1,000 litres in volume, and we're going to start the process. So I've had it on. It's now reached temperature, so it's sitting at the moment on just on 30 degrees Celsius. Okay, I've got my PID here, so it'll keep it warm. I'm going to mix in the first of the sugar. So normally, if you see here, I've got 9 bags, 25 kilos. That's 225 kilos of sugar. All of that is going to be going into the fermenter. Now, what I've done in the past is that I've put all of that sugar into the fermenter, dissolved it, and then added the yeast. So apparently, that's putting my yeast under stress. And I know a lot of you are going to say, well, duh, you know, numb nuts. Of course it is. So I sort of knew that it should be added in stages, but because I'm such a small distillery, I couldn't work out how I was going to add it in stages. And this comes to one of the first preconceptions that I had, that it was absolutely incorrect. And I'm going to show you that preconception. I'm going to smash that first preconception tomorrow morning, because what's going to happen is, right now, as I said, I'm just going to add 3 bags. Okay, so 3 bags of the 9 bags I'm going to add into this wash, and then at 10 o'clock tonight I'm going to pitch my yeast, and then tomorrow morning we'll continue on with it. Okay, so that's the first thing. All right, I'm looking at around about a 33% of my total sugar initially into the wash. So bear with me, and I'll do that now. All right, so the 3 bags of sugar is in. As you can see there on that shelf, the 3 bags have gone. I've added the yeast nutrient and the DAP to it as well. So here's a video of it somewhere, okay, and what it looks like now. So it's gone from a clear liquid, obviously, to a slight liquid, opaque liquid. Now, the temperature has dropped 1 degree. So it's now down to about 30, 29, sort of 29 and a half. So it's kicked, the PID is kicked in again, so that'll bring it back up to temperature. So I've closed the lid, and I'm going to just leave it now. And when I get back from the markets tonight, I will pitch the yeast, and put that in, and then we'll be back tomorrow to see what happens tomorrow. Okay, so bear with us. Next step. Okay, so got home at about 10:15 last night, pitched the yeast into some warm water to activate it, and I was able to manage to pitch the yeast into the fermenter at about 11 o'clock last night. It is now 10:45 in the morning, almost 11 o'clock the following morning, so it's around about nearly 12 hours. So what we're going to do now, this is where it becomes a little bit counterintuitive for me because of what what I thought was what was supposed to happen. But what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to put 4 bags, which is 100 kilos of sugar into the fermenter. Now, I always thought that I couldn't do this because I had no way of mixing it in with the solution. But apparently it's quite okay, if not good, for the yeast to actually circulate them through a pump. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to turn my pump on and we're going to circulate the wash. So it's going to come out the bottom here, in through there and back there. Now I do have an aerator on there. According to this expert, a little bit of air, a little bit of oxygen, the yeast actually like that. So, I asked him about that specifically and he said, yeah, that's no problem. And he said, the other thing is that with yeast, if you leave it, it tends to settle. And so by circulating it through a pump, it actually circulates it through the whole of the wash. So, there you go. There's another idea. So I'm going to turn on the pump. Now, when I pitched it last night, the specific gravity was 1.03. Today, this morning, when I just tested it, it's at 1.028. So it's gone down only 0.2, but it's only been 12 hours. pH is pretty good at 5.2, so I'm happy with that to leave it at that at the moment, but obviously with a sugar wash there's no buffer, so that's going to plummet over the next day, so I'll manage that with some sodium. I was going to use some sodium carbonate, but I couldn't get my hands on any because I'd run out. I had started using calcium carbonate as a pH buffer, but I was actually told by the expert that although it's fairly non-soluble in water, it also, you run the risk if you use it a lot of building calcium up in your still by using a calcium carbonate. So he said you're better off going with a bicarbonate, and I'll try to get some calcium carbonate, but I couldn't, so I've got some baking soda, which is essentially the same, but it'll still do the job. So I'll buffer it with that because obviously, as we know, sugar wash has no buffer, unlike a molasses wash, for argument's sake, that has plenty of buffers. You don't have to worry about pH. Anyway, so I'll turn the pump on. We'll get it circulating. The temperature has gone up, so I pitched it at about 31 degrees. It's now sort of sitting on about 34, 35 at the moment, so it's a pretty good position to be in, so everything seems to be going well, and the cooling did kick in for a few seconds, but it turned off again. I haven't looked inside yet, so what we'll do is we'll have a look inside together. So this will be after 12 hours of fermentation, so let's see what it looks like. Get a torch. Okay. All right. Yes, I know this is not safe, but anyway. Okay, so it's... All right. So it's bubbling away quite nicely. Not as ferocious as I thought it would be, but certainly bubbling away. So I don't know if you can see that, it's a bit hard to see, but you can see there's bubbles coming up there. Anyway, we'll do what he suggests and we'll see what happens. I can hear it. Pump on. All good? All right, time for some sugar. All right, so hopefully you can hear me over the pump okay. All right, so that's all done. So I've put in another 100 kilos. So I've got 2 bags left, which I'm going to do probably around about 10 o'clock tonight. and I'll circulate it again. So I'm just letting it circulate for a few minutes just to make sure that all the sugar is dissolved. Temperature at the moment has dropped a little bit. It's sitting on around about 33 at the moment, 32, 33. So it has dropped a little bit, which is not surprising because obviously I've just added in all that sugar. And so, yeah, we'll just let that go for a few minutes, and then I'll switch it off because obviously it's noisy, and we'll see what happens at the next step. I'll take a specific gravity reading in a minute and just work out what we've done so far. Yeah, let's see what happens. First time I've done it like this, so hopefully I'm doing it the right way, because if there's any error, the error is mine, obviously not this experts. So obviously if it doesn't work, I've done something incorrect or I've misunderstood something you said, but hopefully I haven't. Let's see what happens tomorrow. So unfortunately my camera has died, so I've got to finish this off on my iPhone, so hopefully the sound will be okay. I've basically ran out of time leading up to Christmas to do much filming, so I didn't get as much of this filmed as I'd like to, but the end result was that the fermentation finished in 6 days. So the key points here that we did was the staging of the sugar. So 30%, 40%, 30% in stages. Pumping of the wash. So I mean that was a big one for me. Like you put your wash through your pump and you can recirculate. In actual fact, it's good for the wash because it distributes the yeast evenly through your wash and helps it in the transformation of sugar wash into the alcohol and carbon dioxide. Keeping the pH over 5, okay, that was a big thing. I ended up putting in around about 2 kilograms of sodium bicarbonate just to keep that sugar, that pH level up. Of course, you don't need to worry about that with a molasses wash, but you certainly do with a sugar wash. End result was 6 days completely fermented out. It worked perfectly. Kept the temperature down to about 35 degrees. So in that sort of 32-35 degrees range was perfect. Really nice, clean spirit. I've actually done 4 runs, distilling runs from this batch so far, and it's a very good batch, very clean. So it actually worked very well. So yeah, that's what this expert said to me. Is these are the things you can do. In actual fact, he did say that they run their they circulate their wash through a centrifugal pump pretty well continuously, so if I remember that correctly. So that was something that was interesting to me at all, because I never thought you could actually disturb your wash and run it through a pump, and I know I'm not alone on that. I know that a lot of distillers out there think the same way. So that's how the professionals do it, okay? They stage it, they don't put it all in at once, they get it in there to start off with, they let the yeast develop in a very weak solution of around about 3%. It then creates a nice, strong, robust yeast, and then you stage your next two levels, just like dumping the sugar into the fermenter and running it through your pump and circulating it, and it all works. So there you go. That's really all I wanted to say about this particular one. I learned so much from this guy. It was very, very interesting, and big shout out and thank you to him and for the company for providing him. Big surprise, as I said earlier in the video. I was actually trying to edit this last night, and it's been a while since I've done it. So yeah, it was very interesting. So yeah, if you're doing sugar washes, stage your adding of your sugar. Don't be afraid to mix it up, stir it up, give it a shake. You don't need to leave it alone. In actual fact, it's good to circulate it because it stops the yeast settling to the bottom. Anyway, that's it for this video. Thank you very much for watching. It's been a blast, and happy distilling. Stay safe, stay legal. Ciao. Distilling alcohol is illegal in Australia unless you hold the appropriate licenses and permits. I am not a lawyer and the contents of this video are not intended to be legal advice. Do not rely on any information contained in this video and seek your own legal professional advice before making any decisions. Be aware, the Australian Tax Office and the local law enforcement agencies will be taking interest in this channel due to its content. Please keep this in mind before posting any comments. Any comments posted are the opinion of the person posting and not of this channel. Let's get started.